Beardos.
Mr. Piacesi, is that the way to say it, right?
Perfectly. Yep.
Ah, sir, nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you, man.
And we've been chatting a little bit in the background, and I think one of the most useful things to impart in this conversation is you've had a very interesting journey. You hail from Brazil originally, right? So give us the Cliff's Notes.
Well, yeah, I came from originally Brazil. I got a family in Italy. So when I was like really young, I used to talk with my grandpas and everything about like Europe and stuff. But I mainly just grew up in Brazil. And I mean, since like I was like a kid, I was always involved with audiovisual in a way, because my dad is like an advertisement man, and my mother is like a photographer. So I was always like in sets and stuff, you know. I was a Johnson & Johnson babe, because my dad was like pushing, you know, the kid like, put my son.
Just a second there, because I need to visualize this. So you got pulled in to be the face of Johnson & Johnson on the...
Do you remember those ads from the 80s with the kids and Johnson & Johnson and the magazines and stuff? I was there also. Like,
he's a star, man. Like this is royalty, right? This is advertisement royalty right here.
But then my career in the front of the camera suddenly stopped when I was 7. I was doing the launch of the Big Coke, you know, the Coca-Cola, the bottle, Big Coke in Brazil. And I was just like, I'm put up with this. Can we swear or something?
Yeah, sure.
I'll put up with this shit, like, fuck it. I don't want this anymore and whatever, you know. I was a star, you know. I'm just kidding. So yeah, so that was that. And of course, like, I started to grow up, got like a band or something, played drums, and we started working with the audio, you know, because we always doing shit by ourselves.
Of
you
course,
know, like,
of course.
And I was like, suddenly I was just like doing PA systems and, you know, returns.
So let me ask a couple of, because this is very common to like a sub-segment of the local creatives exist as band people, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a very thankless job, especially here in Malta. So you're either palatable enough to do like weddings and stuff like that, and like respect to you if you can kind of like have fun with it and also make a buck, so that's kind of cool. But everyone else who is doing a little bit more of their own thing and maybe a little bit more underground doesn't really have how to say, a lot of
exposure or
they
something?
Don't have exposure. It's not like there's a lot of place where they can play. So it really depends, like especially like the metal community and the punk community is very siloed in. There's only like a handful of places where they can play, and sometimes there are like big festivals which they can participate in. So the sort of like DIY attitude is very rampant there, and it's all passion. Like it's inspiring to see. I grew up like that as well, so like this is a very sort of like it's a commonality, right? So when you said, first of all, what kind of music were you playing?
We're playing punk and rock and metal and
of course,
you know.
Yeah.
And it's good to know, because when we start like playing music, you just like match your style, do your stuff. Then you got into like an industry or something. You see like how people make money on this.
Yes.
And people just deviated like totally, because they start doing gigs like weddings and stuff, like playing different kind of music. And it's really hard when you're making like a buck with that. To put your songs and stuff out, like you know. But I totally feel you.
No, like we had like the first episode. A big shout out to Rob. We had with Rob Chapman. He's a pro musician that makes his living in that sphere. Cool. Now, in fairness, like I think he's got a lot of pots bubbling all of the time, but it's inspiring to see people actually managing to sort of like work within that graft kind of thing. It's like he's very awake to a bunch of things that might happen. So It's certainly harder than doing the weddings, so to speak. So moving forward, like band stuff, that's all well and good, but it speaks to a work ethic, right?
We are like young, doing our stuff, like learning the thing. And I mean, if you're doing like art in all of the senses, I think it's good like if you navigate through things like, you know, because after like doing sound on the main stage and stuff, there was like a lighting board with lights.
Yes.
So we're just like doing sound, and I see like a friend, you know, doing like show lights, like theater stuff, and I was just like, oh, this is cool. Maybe I should try this, you know. And then I just jump onto the lighting department, let's say like this, you know, and I start lighting shows and then whatnot. Like 2 years later, I was working on theaters, doing my own lighting, you know, doing my own stuff, and felt great because it was like a jump from sound world to lightning world. You know.
If you didn't have your father inside that particular sort of veneer already, would you think you would have found it as easy to jump back into, or like to start doing it yourself?
That's actually a good question, because before it was really hard for us to have knowledge of things like pre-internet, you know. So the fact that I was always on sets and you know, near cameras, even though I didn't understand at the time because I was like really young, that made a mark, you know, like the style of living that kind of life, you know, in the studio, working on things, projects. You know, I remember I was like little like kid going to the department, and there's like the guys doing the drawings, and he's like typing on the machine, you know, because like the whole, you know, environment was cool. And then when I got older and started doing my own thing, like was totally separated from that world, but like 10 years later I will end up on the same place, you know. So
I think
in a way,
I think there is like it's very common for people who haven't experienced the set life, so to speak. And I'm not speaking like as a person who has experienced a lot of it, because of all the things I've done throughout my career, set is probably the least of them all. Like I've done some interviews and stuff like that, but the movie stuff, the movie set life, which is way more hectic. It's like there's a lot of things happening. Everyone kind of knows their place, as if by magic. It turns out all you need is experience, right? And being yelled at a couple of times, and you'll remember exactly where you need to be next time. But one thing I remember very clearly in my head is like, amidst all of this chaos, you're like, how does this thing work, man? Right? So the fact that you were acclimatized to that chaos, it's not chaos, but you know what I mean, that all of that happening at a young age, you already have like that like the awe you would have of the situation. You're already acclimatized to that, so you're just like, oh, that's a camera, yeah, that's a, you know, and so when you get back to it, there's a degree of familiarity.
Definitely.
And I think one of the most important things for budding creatives to kind of like learn is that anything you do the first time is going to be get it out of the way as quickly as possible, right? So that like fail quickly and try to learn as much as possible, because the second time you do it, you'll go inside the same situation or a similar situation with a little bit more armor on, and you can focus on other things, and it starts getting better and better. So please.
No, yeah, you're talking about something like really cool, because when you have like a start to doing things, and if you trace like a parallel between that journey and today's journey, it's almost the same, because you do have information through videos and you know, like backstage stuff to get acclimatized in some way. You know,
that's true.
That's a good, like, you just need to have like a will to do something.
Like passion.
Exactly. And of course, I was it was kind of easier for me because we do have like a bigger and like proper industry going on in Brazil. You know, they do like about 150 movies in a year. There's a lot of incentives from the government. You know, they pay you to do your movie, and they are like really strict to that, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of production houses, a lot of equipment houses, and so you can start, and there's a lot of opportunities there also for minorities and stuff.
Cool, very cool.
They are like a really big country, you know, like 250 million people. So
yes, well,
there's a lot of industry flow there, and they are really close to the like U.S.
It's close
industry,
enough
you know,
to matter, right? So one thing to sort of like I would like to tease apart a little bit is the nature of the industry in Brazil, because the one thing that I'm keeping at the back of my mind is like, to me from outside, right? It sounds like this is like a thriving industry. There's like certainly the right incentives in place. So from the outside, it looks really interesting. But on the other hand, here you are. You're not in Brazil. So help me understand that.
Of course. So my journey in Brazil started with the music, lightning. Then I started doing DOP work. You know, like getting my mind onto it. And then I started rising in my own thing. So I opened my own production house. We did a lot of good runs. We did a lot of advertisements, you know, political campaigns. I mean, we do a lot of stuff. Then I started providing like service jobs for higher companies, you know. And then I start also like getting a lot of calls for that, doing a lot of those projects. And I mean, the switch to me came when I got to go to work outside Brazil. You know, I work on a theater, I work in Italy. I did a lot of musicals by Gary Company. I went to New York to work with friends, you know. And when I got back to Brazil, it's just like, although it's the same thing, it's not the same thing, you know.
How is it different?
So I'm trying to explain this.
Is it a degree of like professionalism or
no? There's this thing like we were kids and we were watching movie. Mostly like US, you know, blockbusters. Of course. That's why the world was in the 90s, in the beginning of the 2000s, and if you talk about European movies, they were the artsy movies, you know. And so I wanted to be on that sphere, you know. I wanted to be closer to that.
Okay.
And in Brazil, they have their own thing.
Okay.
So I felt that I was never going to get on that.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So,
but that's the thing. Like, I was like, okay, and I will continue to work and everything, and I reach a level in Brazil like very good, very like safe work, you know, a lot of contacts, you know, working for major companies in Brazil like TV stations, and they introducing like the like Netflix services there. Sure. We shot a lot of things for Netflix, Amazon. You know, I did shows for Disney.
Okay.
And
so certainly you did not leave Brazil for lack of opportunity.
No, like definitely not.
You literally were at the top of your game there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it was more of a, correct me if I'm wrong. So it was more of the allure of finding your own voice and doing your own stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
When you reach that level and if you like, you fulfill your life, like I can do this for the rest of my life, but I didn't want that.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, I always want to explore different things.
Yes.
You know, I like to travel to different, you know, cultures and then live different things on my life. And then I was like searching on the internet, talking with my wife. She was like, okay, let's go, let's leave Brazil, where are we gonna go? I have friends in Canada, you know, like really cool friends doing a lot of cool work with the industry there. And then I started searching on Europe, you know, like, okay, maybe I can go to Italy to visit my family, you know, or we can go to, I mean, the first choice, of course, was, you know, UK or something. And this was before, like, you know, COVID and before everything. And I also have friends on Germany, you know, and I was really inclined to go to Germany because I won an award there, like Best International Film.
Gotcha.
And people like, oh, you should come here, let's talk about, la, la, la. I was like, yeah, of course, definitely. But then, dun, dun, dun. On an internet search or something, I found about Malta, you know. And the thing that like was kind of a really good match for us was first the weather, you know, because it's really similar to a tropical world, you know, like Brazil and stuff. And second, the language, because you guys speak like English here. So for my wife, it was like good because, you know. And then I started searching like the productions that they did here. And actually I was like amazed at how much production there is here. I will start searching about Malta and we see the productions here and we just take a leap of faith, jump. So come here.
If you don't mind me asking, what does your wife do?
She works with HR, you know, she understands how I work and sometimes I work like 2 months straight with even like no days off sometimes, depends, you know. And, but she's super cool, she's super okay, and she supported, and she also wanted to, you know, get off Brazil. You know.
So let's look at that side of the journey again. So you're at the top of your game in Brazil, and the only reason why I want to spend some time here is because I think it's useful for people, especially in Malta, that typically they just like, they either go away from Malta kind of thing and follow their dream elsewhere, which is awesome for them, not so awesome for Malta, because I do believe Malta, from the creative perspective kind of thing, is suffering from a large degree of brain drain. And it would be awesome if we could figure out a way to incentivize local creatives to flourish here as opposed to elsewhere, right?
Definitely.
And this is something I know is quite close to your heart from when we were speaking way back when, that you want to start like building more of a community.
Yes. When I got to Malta, I've been here for 1 year now, you know. So when I got to Malta, I was like, okay, I'm gonna work on the industry. Let's see what you guys can offer. And the first thing that I noticed is there's a lot of outside productions coming here, right? So I was like, okay, there's the industry, you know. They just came here and provide service. They shot everything here, go away. How about the local productions? How they you know work and then started doing some research. Mainly I started with the filmmakers, you know, like reaching out, like, hey, how do you do your process? You know, you do your own stuff, you do advertisement, and the feedback that I had is just like, yeah, we do everything. Like, okay, but you, like, yeah, myself. So you don't have like a company, you don't have like you don't hire people, you know. And even for I felt like we need to build the industry. Doesn't need to be like a big industry. Just need to be like, you know, if you can have a producer, have, you know, help or something, do your thing. You know, start to build the thing.
If I had to second guess the reason why people don't pay for a producer, most of the time is because they don't have money to pay for the producer, right?
Yep.
So it feels like there's a chicken and egg situation happening, especially at the local production level. The local industry cannot sort of like coalesce into an industry because it feels like it's far away from a working economic model. And at the same time, because there is no working economic model, the people who are probably best suited to figuring out what that economic model would be are leaving the island. Right?
Let's go back to that previous question because it's a good one. You say like people are leaving Malta and going elsewhere. I can totally understand that from a point of view, like if I was born here, but at the same time, we are building a lot of good things right now.
Yes,
Like
yes.
I met people that had opportunities to work with Jurassic Park, Gladiator, Assassin's Creed, and like really young people, like 19 years old, 20 years old. They have had no idea what a production or what a movie set, film set was, and they are now starting to go to those productions. You know, they start to learn from them. You know, and I understand like there's a lot of politics involved and everything. Nothing is 100%.
No.
But the thing is, like, they start to develop passion about something.
See, but this is where I might what the impression for me is, right? And I might be wrong. I'm very happy to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. But my impression is once you get into that big production churn, that's pretty much what you do, because it's a hard life. It's a hard, rewarding life. But what happens is typically you're either doing a stretch of productions and then you say, okay, this has been enough, made my money, I'm going to take a 6-month vacation. Now, the subset of people who grab that 6-month vacation and turn towards their own projects is well, it's smaller than the people who don't. I mean, I don't think that's contentious to say. And at the same time, so the moment you start trying to implement what you've learned in a well-oiled machine, which I have no doubt in my mind that the big productions in Malta are a well-oiled machine. They've got the servicing, they've got like the Malta Film Fund and all of this stuff, right? Which is awesome. But the only issue I have is that on the level of the indie creator, that doesn't seem to help, because even the knowledge you are acquiring does not transfer that well, because you don't have access to the tech.
Exactly, there's a gap there. You have like two extreme sides. You have the independent producer and you have the biggest productions. And there's a gap in between. The good thing, like the good example that I can give you is like people work on an industry, they having all that knowledge, they are bringing it to local productions now.
Yes.
Yes. So the government needs to give money to those people, but it's not just about the money, it's about the knowledge of the things,
Agreed.
So let's say I have a friend, he started working on Move productions, and he got something for audio. So now he's doing a lot of local productions in Malta as an audio tech, like a boom guy or something. Yes. So that's a cool story to have, like,
sure.
And but I understand there's a gap. What we can do is trying to shorten that gap.
Yes.
But doing it the right way. So we don't learn the things like like I'm producing, I'm directing, I'm the DOP,
I'm doing everything.
I'm editing.
Yeah.
We wanted to do that, but it's good if you have an editor.
Yes.
And that editor is just editing, so he has his own language. And you are director, you're directing, and you have a guy doing the camera, a DOP, a gaffer. So know all this, like try to fill all these places, and it's not about the money, it's just about to have a team, join your friends or whatever, try to do something. Today's technology is so easy to manage, and try to learn the right way, because if you want to build an industry, you need to have the model that is outside. So we don't like export the talent. We keep the talent here,
Fair enough.
and we export the product.
I think that's a very fair point. So like whatever the local layer is, it needs to on some level match the international layer.
Exactly.
Because if there's a mismatch there, what happens is whatever local pool of creatives exist, they become co-opted by the big, because I don't feel like doing everything. And also I think
or even though that's not the way that we do things, Malta doesn't know the way to do things. Like, we need to avoid that. We need
sure.
Build the basis to
I do believe that there are some, of course, by necessity there aren't a lot of them, but like people like Martin Bonnici and the Simshar lady Rebecca, right?
Rebecca, yeah, of course,
like these are people who are I would say have been pushing the envelope for longer than I've been in the industry, right?
Yep.
At least at this level, kind of thing. So it's not like it's just screaming in the void, kind of thing. And these are people who have like a lot of gumption, and they're taking the risk, and they've taken the risk. Not taking the risk, they've taken the risk. So like we salute you. Now, how to port that work ethic, that like I would say a certain degree of ballsiness, right? To actually do that feels like it's part of the gap, right?
Yeah. I would say like the main thing that we need to do is just persevere, always doing stuff. Like even if you felt like it's not good enough, it doesn't matter. You need to do, because by doing that, you're showcasing to even your neighborhood, a friend, a guy in college, you know, like a producer, you know. That's how we build things, and it takes time, you know. Unfortunately, it takes time. The film business as a whole, it's a thing like it's not just do it yourself in a way like before maybe, but now with technology, it's just like they don't care just about the product itself, you know. It's the whole concept of things. And having that like building in Malta is just the best of the world, because there's a lot of initiatives, like even we here as an initiative, it's awesome, you know. People are putting technology, people are putting like creative minds to it to build something. There's people out there that want to do the same thing, you know. They want to learn.
I think this is a good place to sort of explore how we actually got in touch, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So we met during like an MPA thing, I think.
No, it was the first Odin, I think.
Oh, the first Odin, yes.
You guys are showcasing the studio. It was like, wow, this is really cool technology.
Yes, that's true.
Do we have that on Malta? I was like, yeah, definitely. This is this is
fucking
thing here. Yeah.
See, that's not real. We decided. Well, you asked to have a chat. And we had a chat. And what I took away from the chat is that like you're very passionate about building the talent pool and create some sort of like cohesive pool of people that can play well together, right? This is not to say that the local pool doesn't play well together, just to be clear. What we're saying is we're trying to make it play well together even more, right? This is us pushing our own little way of helping, hopefully. We had a virtual production 101 course that was ready to go. We had the materials, we had the knowledge, structured in a way that made sense. And it just so happened that you also have dabbed your hand at teaching. So it felt like a very natural collaboration. And I do think that we're probably going to do it for as long as there is appetite for it. But the idea is what happens after the VP 101, right? How do we keep in touch? Because we should probably like start laying down the foundations that we were speaking to back to in the beginning of the conversation, right? How do we keep these people in touch? How do we get these people to collaborate together?
It's really good, because sometimes it's organic, you know, but sometimes we need to push things forward or just, you know, pinch a little things.
That's true.
So the initiative of to do like a course to showcase the technology, it just opens up the creative space for people, you know. And of course, we can collaborate with people that we feel that it's a better match.
Yes.
But
yes,
they also collaborate between themselves.
Sure.
And I think that's building, you know.
Yes.
When you're teaching, you feel like, well, this guy is really wants to know.
Yes.
Maybe this group just there to understand, but they are doing their own thing, you know.
Yes, sure.
And but I think like the growth is organic, you know.
Yes.
And if you have like different persons doing stuff,
for
they
sure.
can like maybe arrange a meeting, like a monthly meeting or something, you know, or feel like maybe, you know, just like getting a chat, you know, going to a bar, having like a beer or something.
Yeah.
You know?
That to me, like it feels to me like that should be such an obvious thing to do. Like people like Odin have been trying to do this. Big shout out to Odin. And like the MPA, MEA, all of these people are trying to, they're essentially speaking this language, right?
Yeah.
And yet, what really worries me is, and this is maybe a little bit more informed by my experience with Quixote. So Quixote is a cultural cooperative that runs. For better or worse, it runs. It's an awesome group of people. But we've been trying to get people, look, you do not always need a project to mingle. You need to mingle to get projects.
Yeah.
Right? This sort of like, this insularity that it seems to me like it's very, very typical of local creatives. I'm not interested in why as such. But whatever that feature is not a feature, it's a bug now. Like it's keeping a group of people that should be coalescing into a large troupe. I think maybe that's the best analog I can think of creatives, technicians, people who understand each other though, and that can produce. And getting some stuff off the ground. And like do the indie thing for as long as it can lift off the ground, because it's a momentum thing, right? And in fairness, over the past 2-3 years, I've been sensing that there's like, it's starting to go in that direction.
Good.
Right?
Yeah.
It's still not there, not by a long shot, but it feels like there are a lot of minds trying to make this thing happen. So I would heartily recommend to reduce the atomization of creatives.
Yeah, definitely.
And like have a beer with some people you like. Don't wait for a project, right?
Yeah.
Because the project will not come sometimes.
But
you know,
if you talk about psychology of things, that's a good topic, because the psychology of today is like the moment, you know, like things need to be like now. And it's not like that. It's like enjoy your process, you know, let it flow. Let it play out, you know, meet a friend, talk, think, because now it's just a push of the button and everything is there. You
and
know?
have more than one thing in the
exactly.
cooking at the same time. Because that's the converse. You get not to do just one thing. You get to have like your little play you're working on. Like you have 3 scripts going. Like you know, you're like working on them, and then maybe you're doing some production work on the side. You know, you're helping your friend do whatever. But you need to. I think it's useful to be in that state of mind, to be open to say, let's play, let's see what happens, kind of thing. And I get it. I'm not trying to make light of the situation of needing to pay the bills, of wanting to have a career, right? All of these things are real. But the other side has its perks as well. You know, like you'll find a lot of goodwill.
It's enjoyable.
Exactly. And
it's like enjoy things, you know. And sometimes you're not there yet, but you're doing something. You're cooking something. You know.
Yes.
You're playing with something that, like 3 years from now, just like an idea that you had that you just like 3 years from now, probably just like a beautiful project. You know.
Yes.
So things take time. on our industry.
Yes.
Creative processes are, everyone now is just like, I had this idea, boom, is here, like, it's not like this, you need time to do those stuff, to think about things, just like put the right shape on things. In the 90s, sometimes scripts took like 10, 15 years to be made.
No, for sure.
Of course, you shorten that time. But even though the things cannot be just plastic now,
No, sure.
And that's why we're trying to, we are trying to create in Malta. We're trying to build something. It's really hard, of course, because, there's a lot of different things. So we just need to try and get this, but I think it's like really promising. I think like 2 years from now, if you still have like incentives,
Incentives.
And if you have like government, arts council, you have MPA, you have different mayor, you have all those, institutions working together, and of course, knowing the difference, like we do have an industry that should have like services providers and stuff.
Of course.
We can receive like big Hollywood movies, no problem.
But that's already there, right?
Exactly.
That's working
that
brilliantly.
Works
Good work, whoever is
now
working
we take
on that, right?
this and build our own local staff and ideas and stuff, and we showcase to Europe. Because we are in a good moment now.
So one thing that's with Quixote, we work a lot with artists and like in the, let's say, the non-mass sort of like poetry, literature, visual art, photography, that kind of stuff. So it's always been a den of iniquity, that little place, right? One thing that seems to be a perennial issue is the audience, right? And I don't know if there is an actual overlap or not, but it would be way more sustainable solution if we start building audiences.
Definitely,
right?
Yeah, we should.
And Malta is not no people, right? But there seems to be a fundamental disconnect between the people who create, they create out of passion, and the potential audience of whatever that's being created, right? And I don't know how to bridge that gap.
No, actually, it's an issue, like a normal issue, because from my point of view, I feel that Malta, like younger generations, what do they consume on the art form? Because we are talking about a gap,
Yes, for sure.
What the industry wants to do shouldn't be just for Malta.
No,
itself,
for sure.
But what people from Malta consume, like we are talking about older generations, younger generations, between them, like 30, 35 years old people. Because when you have like institutions and stuff, they have all those studies about this, and Malta being like a small community, let's say,
well, it is,
should be really easy to understand.
That's my impression as well.
But I have no knowledge of that.
Sure.
What to say about that. But I think like it comes to common sense of what you do.
But do you think it has to be like a political, and I don't mean it political, small p political, this party versus that party. I'm talking big P political, so incentivizing economy, this sort of stuff. Is it something that, so let's say we're trying to make an argument to the powers that be, right? Why is building an audience or helping an industry, let me formulate the question better. What are the incentives that can help build a strong flourishing indie community? And how does a local audience for that small indie community help the indie community flourish?
Okay, so money. right?
Oh, yes.
But the thing is, like, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Like, people like to complain a lot, and I understand that. Everywhere that we go, there's a lot of people complaining, you know? It's normal to the human being to complain about things. It's hard to do something about, you know? But everything comes to, like, money, and I understand that. And it's not like a bad thing, you know? But with incentives, you know, you can build things that's gonna like last for the next one. But people like from these institutions need to want, like, they need to want to help people.
I don't think that they don't want to help. In my head, it feels like they don't understand how to help.
No, but I'm saying, like, Malta has like 3 broadcast channels, like, officially.
Yeah.
So let's say those channels need to help. You know, I heard that people approach those channels, they don't want to help because they want.
So
like,
my impression is that, like, the local channels, first of all, like especially like TVM and Super One, they only do Maltese, right? Which is, well, I think even Super One, but the point is, like, sorry, One, they've changed. Net, I think, is significantly has less reach, but I think
I didn't want to like to get into like specifics. I'm just saying, like, the people need to be open to help also.
Sure. But what, like, I'm saying is that those people,
we are independent producers. We are trying to build something. We do have our, you know, gimmicks to get money to produce things or even help each other. But when you reach a certain level, from that point, it's a different market. It's a different industry. So those people also need to, you know,
play the game with us.
And they need to understand that they're gonna make money. That's why I say money, you know.
Okay,
they're gonna make money. You know?
That's kind of, so like a lifetime ago, I used to work with these awesome people. They are now called Toon Tulun, to the producers, to the animated productions. Very good at what they do, full of heart, original, all of that kind of stuff, right? So big shout out to you guys. It's just shout outs today. But it feels like these are people we know, right? And have worked with and have a great deal of respect for. And one of the things that journey gave me as working in that veneer was that you're constantly chasing funds and trying to get some advertisement. The unpleasant thing about that is that when you're chasing funds, you are bound by the rules of the fund, which might be the best fund there is. But the point is, like, let's say if it makes you do your thing in Maltese, which is a great deal of, so you need to show it on a TV. The only channels who will show it need it to be in Maltese, therefore you're doing your production in Maltese. What that does, for example, is make it essentially unmarketable overseas.
You're shrinking your audience.
Exactly,
you know,
exactly.
When
now,
you should be like opening the things.
And the argument, from what I gather, because I'm not interested in strawmanning anyone here, right? The point of the funds and the point of the local TV stations is to push forward the Maltese culture and Maltese languages. If the locals do not push the local culture, who will, right? So that's a catch-22 situation. But maybe some space can be given to creating productions that are both in Maltese and in English, so that the local indie maker can even market overseas, kind of thing. But maybe that's just like,
there's everything is like open, you know. You can have Maltese productions shot like in Maltese. You can have like Maltese productions shot in English. There's no problem to that, you know. And the thing is, like, you can even like marketing outside Malta projects like this. But the reach that project is gonna be lesser than another one speaking like in English or something like that, you know.
Franco.
But the thing is, just because it's not in Maltese, it doesn't mean that's not showcasing Maltese culture.
No,
or
for sure,
Maltese people, like the way the things are, you know, in Malta. And I mean, you know, Europe has this things like from the north of the Europe, they always have those crime dramas on the snow, and it plays like really slow. You have like Hollywood movies, you have Bollywood, you have films like action films, you know, you have Italian cinema.
Of course.
Each one has a characteristic and a feel to it.
Yes,
you know?
a voice.
A voice, exactly. So, do Malta have a voice? Do we need have a voice like that? You know, like what's the story that we want to push outside? You know, like what type of content we're talking here? Because we also need to think about that when you're doing a project for like commercially also. You know, because we need. That's the thing. Like when you're in an industry and you build everything, you have this kind of things that you bump into and you understand why you need to do. So let's say you have a project and it's in Maltese, no problem, awesome, use Maltese, showcase something that can only be shot in Malta.
Yeah, can only be Maltese.
Yeah. No problem. And how do you commercially, you know, go outside Malta with that? So find those challenges and overcome them, you know, with the help of the industry. You know?
For sure.
Why do we watch a documentary about snow? Because we want to understand more about snow.
Yes. So I guess what you're saying is, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the way I'm understanding it is, Malta has enough of a character that a voice can emerge that is uniquely Maltese, that is in itself a marketable object because it's so unique, right?
Of course, yeah.
That is very cool.
I think if you think about like the architecture, you know, the colors that Malta have, everything play on the project, you know, and everything is so beautiful that can be advertised. But don't, you know, like with starting an industry or starting a project, don't downgrade those things. You know, as Maltese. Don't downgrade. This is a good thing.
Of course,
Think about the
of
things.
course.
You know, all the problems that we have here are problems that people maybe have like very worse problems than that in different countries. You know?
No, like
I mean, it's a optimistic vision of things. I know, but I like to have this.
I don't
start to deal with the real problems when they appear. You know.
So just in closing, I do believe that like the one single, if anyone takes anything out of this talk today, is this final sentiment that I think that in an industry so still blooming, right? Still needing to bloom. Hope is mandatory. It cannot be. It's not a luxury. You don't have the luxury of being cynical.
Exactly.
Do we agree on this?
Exactly. Yeah.
Very good. Mr. Piacesi, it was a pleasure. Nice seeing you.
Of course, Nico. Always. Thank you, guys.